Welcome back, everybody. I tell you what, it feels good to be back. This is United versus everybody. I am your host, Sean. We are back. I am back home after a busy 4 days, really like 5 days in Manchester. You guys know that Justin and I headed over there for a few matches. We left last Wednesday, just got back really early this morning, if you want to be technical about it. Very, very long Monday for us. Our flight was canceled. It was rescheduled, delayed again. I think we were supposed to be back here like mid-afternoon, and we did not getting back until like 1 a.m. Just delay, just a lot of storms throughout the country. So just flights everywhere just delayed, but it was rough. I was literally up for like 24 hours straight. I got up at like 6 a.m. Manchester time, which meant like 24 hours. So that was fun. But if you were following along, I did share a few photos from that trip. I'll share them again with you guys now, just so you can get caught up. But it was a fun trip as always. The Brighton match, the performance for the Brighton, or not the Brighton, the Southampton match. The performance for the Brighton Southampton match was not great, but as far as an overall 90 minutes, it was exhilarating, to say the least. It was very, very emotionally draining. Southampton match we won't talk about. Or the Brighton match we won't talk about, but we did go to a Salford versus Fleetwood match. Salford ended up losing. They got dominated that match. The Academy match was very, very cool. Great hospitality at Lee Sports Village. If you guys are ever in Manchester and you have an opportunity to go to an Academy match at Lee Sports Village, please do so. And I urge you, if you have the means, to spring for the hospitality. It's like £20, and you get food, you get your private area to come in when you're cold. You get to go sit right on the special bleachers. It really is an incredible experience. But yeah, so this Justin and I, the first night, rocking up at Old Trafford, and then view from our seats for that first match against Southampton. Then, of course, there were a ton of tributes going in, obviously, for Dennis Law, who, unfortunately, we got the sad news after we'd gotten in and after we'd spent the day there that Dennis Law did pass away. We got that news while we were at the Academy match, actually, which was interesting. Let me check with the live chat, see what you guys are saying. Danny, big up, my guy. I hope you are doing well, man. Appreciate the thoughts. Yeah, man, Danny, we're going to talk about Alvaro a little bit later on, but he did get an assist. Too bad Benfica couldn't see out that result, but Barcelona, I think. Justin, how you doing, man? I did see you call. I'll give you a call a little later on. It's been a long day. I've fallen asleep like 8 times today. So Danny said, did the 18s win? They did win. Honestly, God, I forgot the score. I think it was like 4-5-1? Justin will remind me in the chat. It feels like it was so long ago, but they did end up winning it. Obviously, it was an FA Youth Cup match against Preston North End, which they won. And well done to the kids. Well done to the lads. Justin had to work today. So we can all laugh at Justin. No, I'm just kidding. But as you can see, the tributes were pouring in at the Trinity statue for Dennis Law. And then, Danny, this is the view. The photo on the left is the view from the box, basically, from inside the suite at the Academy match. So you get a really good seat. You get to walk right out there. And then we took another stadium tour. We hadn't been there in a couple of years, so wanted to check out the new tunnel. And I didn't know that they had also redone the interior of the dressing room as well. So the dressing room used to be bright white lights, and now instead it's accented in red as well. So it sets this cool tone. But yeah, the new tunnel looks great. Always fun to go check that out as well. Danny says, what was it like seeing Obi up close? Dude, Obi Martin is an absolute unit. Now, Preston also have, I guess, Julian Lescott's son plays for Preston. He's also a unit, just an absolute unit. Dude's like 6.5 feet tall. Honestly, I think he's taller than Obi Martin, but Obi Martin is he's built like he's already like 25. He's just like Diego Leon. Diego Leon is 17, but he's built like a man already. Like Obi Martin's big, obviously holding up play, doing really, really well. So really cool to see the Academy, really cool to cheer on the lads, really cool to celebrate that. We had a sweet with some people who go there frequently. So it was really cool, and they had their kids. Their kids had never been to one before, so it was really cool to kind of be a part of that. Justin, Cheeto is the truth. Can't wait to see how him, Scanlon, Jack, and Tyler Fletcher progress and mature. Yeah, Fletcher was doing really, really well. Scanlon, it's kind of like when we went to watch the Salford match a couple years ago when Ethan Galbraith was on loan at Salford. You could tell that he's good, especially almost too good for that level, Scanlon. But he wasn't getting on the ball enough, unfortunately, and that's not his fault. It's just you wanted to see more of him. Danny, I think Thwaites came on as a sub later on in the second half. I believe he came on as a sub, if I remember correctly. So, but those are some fun videos from or some fun photos from the trip. In case you guys missed some of them, I did a few live streams. If you guys were following along, we did a live reaction to the Southampton match after we got back to the Airbnb after their first night. So great to have some of you guys show up. And then we did one kind of on the Brighton match, and then some of the transfer stuff. We did that shortly before we left the Airbnb yesterday. So it's cool to do that. But go check out those videos if you haven't yet. What did you guys think of the video on the books? By the way, I set that one to go live after I'd already gone, so you guys would have something to interact with and do. And it's kind of a video that I've been wanting to do for a while. I did an article on it a couple years ago when I was doing my own website, and wanted to do one again. Obviously, with YouTube, it gives you a little bit more opportunity to talk a little bit more off the cuff. So just some of my books that I like, I think a lot of people should read. Whether you're a United fan or just a footy fan or not, some really good reads if you guys are readers or not. But tons and tons out there. Obviously, it's tip of the iceberg, but those are all, in my opinion, a good place to start for a variety of different areas of interest, whether you're tactical, whether you're a history buff, whether you're a United buff, whether you're just footy in general when it comes to like books like The Club or Soccernomics. Soccernomics probably your first stop, honestly. So, and if you are planning to ever see United live, if you get a chance to go to Manchester, if you want to do that, and you want an affordable, clean, walkable place to stay, I did put a link in the description for the Airbnb that Justin and I used, and probably going to be using the next time. Justin can attest to it in the chat if he wants to. I think 21's played tonight in I think it's like an intercontinental cup. They played against FC Nordsjælland. I think that's the club where Bergvall came from, if I'm correct. The South Spurs midfielder now. I think that's where he came from, but I could be wrong. But Danny says Garnacho 65 with add-on to 80. Use that 65 to get back Alvaro or Dorgu, Cherky, Dibling, and Buemo. We got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk transfers. We're going to talk a lot about Amorim's post-match comments following the 3-1 loss to Brighton. So we're going to dive in, and it's going to be interesting because I want to know your guys' thoughts. I've heard some mixed opinions from a couple people, some of them United fans, some of them Liverpool fans. We were sitting with a Liverpool fan at the airport for a while talking some stuff. I can't resist a little bit of savagery. You guys know me. But yeah, check the link in the description for an Airbnb if you guys are going. I don't get anything from it, but we had such an enjoyable time. I asked the host, hey, can I throw you a shout in there? Because this is a really good Airbnb. But if you guys are ever, it's super affordable, much cheaper than any of the hotels. Literally, the cricket ground is like right on the intersection, and that means it's a block south of Old Trafford and a block north of the tram stop, which is tram take you straight downtown if you need to. Excellent location. You guys know me. I'm all about location. When it comes to these trips, I want to stay centrally to where I need to walk, and then I can take downtown, because getting to Old Trafford from downtown on match day is a nightmare, but getting downtown after is not that big a deal. So we're going to do the Rangers preview tomorrow night, so keep a lookout for that. But today we're going to get your thoughts on the news. So like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell if you don't want to miss out on any action. And let's get started by talking a little bit about Ruben Amorim's comments. So obviously, the Brighton match was just another example, just another moment in a long list of moments, a long list of examples that clearly demonstrated the shortcomings in this current United squad. I think it's academic at this point, right? Like, do we even to point it out? And Ruben Amorim is not the first one to talk about this. But even like going back to the Brighton match, not once in that match did we ever look like we were in control, let alone comfortable. We were just getting pelted left and right. And then when he was asked in the post-match interview about the current situation, what's going on, Ruben Amorim did not hold back. Box, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again, man. Thanks for stopping by the other day. So this is what Ruben Amorim had to say after the match. I'm sure you guys have all read it and talked about it already, but we're going to do it with me because why not? We are being the worst team maybe in the history of Manchester United. And I know that you want headlines, but I'm saying that because we have to acknowledge that and change that. That's obviously the big talking point from the post-match interview. Everyone's talking about it. All these pundits, former players, YouTubers, everyone's got thoughts on it, reactions, opinions, and quite frankly, the opinions are split. I want to know your opinion because I've seen them all over the board. So let's start with that right now. What are your guys' thoughts on those comments, that particular statement from Ruben Amorim? Did you hear about him smashing the TV? Finally, someone calling him out. I mean, I told you I was going to cancel and kick my TV if we conceded a corner a couple weeks ago. Thankfully, I didn't have to, but Box says, Cherky, Nipan, Fernandez, Vitek, surely attainable for. I mean, Vitek's our player. Just go bring him back. Box says, people are very reactionary. We are. And that's also why we waited today to do match reactions, right? Because we want to do responses, not reactions. So, but what are your opinions on these comments? Was Ruben Amorim right to make that statement in public fashion? We've seen many managers come under fire. Ten Hag famously was called a bully for supposedly, throwing Sancho under the bus by airing the dirty laundry in public when it should have just been kept behind closed doors. It doesn't seem like everybody has the same opinion of Ruben Amorim, and I'm not trying to say Amorim out. I'm pointing out the interesting differences, right? Ralph Ragnick said basically the same thing when it came to the squad and what was the work needed to be done, and he was sacked as a result of that. It's interesting. Do you guys think Ruben Amorim threw these players under the bus, or is it one of those weird situations, even in football, where we all know that what Ruben Amorim said is true? We all believe it. We've said it many, many times. But does that still mean that you don't say it out loud, even though it's true? Is that one of those weird things? I mean, he's not wrong, right? We are right now among the worst. I mean, statistically, maybe not. Obviously, we haven't been relegated. There are many sides that have been relegated. But this is our worst form in recent memory, for me anyway, as a fan, especially at home. We haven't been this bad at home in over a century. 7 losses in 15 matches under Amorim. That's also the worst start for a United manager since John Chapman got us relegated in the 20s. So that was, again, a century ago. Not a good look. But as Danny alluded to, we also got reports after the match that Laurie Whitwell, via United Menace, also said that Amorim was so furious that he let loose on his players in the dressing room in a manner, quite frankly, not on brand at all for him. Reports are all over the place. Some are claiming tables were flipped, chairs were kicked, TVs were broken, and the players are basically told to shape up or fuck off. Pretty much what you and I have been saying for several weeks now. Now we know Ineos is not going to be spending any money to replace that TV, so that's that. But maybe we can ask Arteta to borrow one of his whiteboards. We know he likes those motherfucking things. Or maybe better yet, just maybe get one of Arteta's pickpockets to go swipe one for us from the dressing room. There are also reports that there were tears in the dressing room. Now, I don't know if that meant tears from Amorim, tears from the players, but reports also claim that there was not one peep from the players, that they were silent. And good. You don't have anything to say for yourself. No, none of those players had anything to say for themselves after that match. They need to sit there. They need to take it, get that hairdryer treatment, and just deal with it, Honestly, I kind of wish that we had done the stadium tour yesterday instead of when we did it. It would have been worth it to see some of the damage done to that dressing room after the fact. That would have been excellent. But really, Amorim doesn't seem like a guy who's prone to outbursts. He comes across as very chill, in my opinion. It's just hard to see him angry. It really is. But then again, Ollie, babyface assassin, always smiling, good vibes, but he was known to just be an absolute disgrace to these players sometimes behind the scenes in terms of going. There was that famous clip of him when Lingard kept losing the ball, and all these over there saying like, one more and you're fucking off. So I guess maybe don't let the sunny disposition fool you. But in any case, it must have taken a lot for Amorim to get that angry. But then again, these players will do that to you. And maybe, who knows, maybe that uncharacteristic tirade was a wake-up call. I don't know. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Bach says, it's not nice to hear, but Amorim is sort of speaking facts. Since 1968, the worst seasons have been 72, 73, 74, 89, 90, 20. Yeah, this season's rough. Danny says 100%, and he's right. Why don't, here, I'll do this. Since there's quite a few of you watching, I want to get you guys involved. Obviously, we're here because I want your opinion. So why don't we get your opinion? Let me put a poll here in the chat, and I'll see what you guys have to say. Let me, there we go. Start a poll. Was Amorim right to publicly state this is the worst United team in history? I swear I can type. There we go. You guys let me know what you think. Danny says 100% he's right. Says, past that point, they got too many managers sacked. Yeah, we're all, and I'm right there with you, Danny. This is also why you guys know I'm not a believer in new manager, everybody gets a clean slate. I'm way past that. It shouldn't take that long to see who can't hang in this squad. Anyone who's coming into the squad should already know a little bit about what's going on. These players shouldn't get a free pass just because a new manager comes in. That's not an excuse to just not try. It's really, I'm way past that. It was cute under, like Van Gaal. It was cute under, Jose for a second. But after you're getting these guys sacked, Ollie sacked, Ten Hag sacked, Rangnick sacked, now you're doing this to Amorim. Like, we're done with that. We're way past that. Fully agree. Box says, it doesn't take a lot for players to down tools. So if it wasn't these comments, it'd be something else. I mean, it's not like you could tell the difference if they're downing tools anymore. Like, you looking at the performances, you'd almost say like these players have given up. Like, they're just bad. They're just bad. And it's literally all up here, whether it's downing tools, whether it's the 1v1s, whether it's the attacking the ball in set pieces, whether it's pulling out of challenges, whatever. It's all up here. There's no mentality. There's no resilience. There's no leadership. There's no accountability. There's no selflessness. There's no playing for the badge. It's embarrassing. Box says these players need a cold hard reality. Well, maybe now that this TV smash and they can't all sit there and play FC 25 all night or Call of Duty, maybe they'll get the reality check. Teresa Correa Ferrero, welcome back. Good to see you. So if players prove they can't be trusted, he called it. He has taught his system to lower league youngsters, and they got it. Why can't professional players do it? Yeah. Amorim got Sporting, who, quite frankly, if you laid down Sporting squad on paper, you'd have to say a lot of our players are probably better on paper. So why can't they play? Why can't they show up? Unless it's City, Liverpool, or Arsenal. Apparently, everyone else we just bend over. I still think that we showed up to Southampton thinking that was going to be a foregone conclusion simply because they're bottom of the league, and I think that it took 80 minutes for us to pull ourselves back out of it after we got hit with a couple of haymakers. But welcome back, Teresa. Good to see you again. Box says a lot of times it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why it's more often not. It's not that there's a right or wrong. You just got to pick one and you got to stick with it, and you just have to. There's nothing else to say about it. What are you guys saying here in the poll? 100% of you have said yes. Amorim was right to publicly state this is the worst. I'll leave it open for a few more minutes, but that's interesting. Teresa says, I'm really sad on how in 2 months Ruben is being labeled a loon, an imposter, or stupid, amongst other names. I haven't seen a whole lot of people saying anything bad, at least not anyone of notoriety. I mean, you're obviously going to get it on social media, YouTube, whatever. I've seen, the closest I've seen is some pundits, former players, questioning his, decision to say that publicly. But they're all former rivals and whatnot, so you don't really take anything they say seriously, right? Well, says that's why I feel sorry for Ten Hag with regards to that. Yeah, Ten Hag, at the end of the day, we've talked about it. It's not, the whys don't matter. You know, you've got to get results. Um, I'll back Amorim just like I back Ten Hag to a certain point, right? But Amorim gets a free pass at the end of the season at least. But the problem is we can give him a grace period, but you have to win games. We can't keep losing. We can't keep failing to show up, especially at home. It doesn't matter how much of a free pass we get him. Like, failing to win games will get you relegated. Now, I don't think we will, but you have to start getting some points on the board. It just happened. Lionheart says, welcome back. Thank you. And welcome back to you, my friend. Good to see you. I am feeling it. I'm running on about 4 hours of sleep in the last almost 48 hours now. So it's been great. I did not sleep for 24 hours with the delays and everything of the flights. Danny says, I'm glad he came when he did, because if it was the summer, all these players wouldn't be exposed. It's hard because I'm glad we needed change. And obviously I'm glad we got Amorim, but I'm very frightened. We're going to hold off on expounding on this until after the window closes. I'm saving a lot of my Ineos opinions until after the window closes. I already have some, but I'm holding off. But a big point I would make is you can't give this guy an ultimatum in November and then not back him. You can't bring in a new system, new manager, new ideas, and then not back him. That to me is just setting people up for failure. I don't agree with that approach. So, but I'm holding off going on too hard on my soapbox until after January. I said, you know, going into the January transfer, I said what we needed, what I needed to see, and whatever Ineos did, or more importantly, didn't do in January, was really going to tell me a lot about how they're looking at this season. And they're coming down to the wire here. Box says we need discipline, so he gave Sancho some, and then people said he was a bully and too harsh. Yeah, no, I did a whole video. That was one of my first videos, Box, way back when the thumbnails were atrocious and there was no ring light and stuff. You guys can go back and laugh at that. Anyway, yeah, I did it was like an hour-long video on is Ten Hag a bully. So you're more than welcome to go through that. Some of the stuff still rings true, but obviously some of it's dated because it was over a year ago. So Teresa says, the fans in Portugal never once stopped cheering for the team that hadn't won in 19 years. I feel the Manchester fans are too entitled. A lot of the Manchester fans, it's hard to think, we're entitled. It's been, so many years since we've won a major trophy, but a lot of them, I think football fans in general are very reactionary, very fickle. They are entitled to a degree. I totally agree. And I think United fans in particular can be a little reactionary. It doesn't help that because we are the biggest club in the world, because our name is used in so many things, because it is low-hanging fruit to basically kick us when we're down no matter what, because we're linked to everything, even whether we are actually linked or not, we're constantly in the news, good or bad. Sancho Ten Hag situation got more traction than City winning a treble. Like, that's just who we are, and so you can't escape it. It's constantly. It's like the news. The news is only how many positive things do you ever see on the news compared to like the negatives and the shocking and the things that are pretty much scaring you? The ratio is very disproportionate, and that's basically what it is with United. Now, it doesn't help that there's not much positive to talk about, I'll fully admit, but at the same time, no matter what, even when we get a win, there's always a negative news story ready and waiting just around the corner. That's just part and parcel. The problem is, like you're saying, Teresa, the fans need to stop biting. They need to stop buying into it. They need to stop filling that, like adding fuel to the flame there. They need to stop. They need to see past the bullshit and think. Read more than a tweet. Read more than a headline. Look where the article is coming from. Look at all the buzzwords in there. We have to be better about that kind of stuff, in my opinion. Danny says, Dibbling is class. Dibbling is class. Is he better than Garnacho, though? That's the question. Do we want to, we would probably still make money, but is he better than Garnacho is the question on a lot of people's mind. Box says, do you think the lower value paid players are easier to mold into his system or to demonstrate pure energy passion to the cause? I think it's a little more nuanced. I think for me, it's less about just the lower value pay players, and I think it's more about the younger players, the hungrier players, the players who are on first, second contracts, who are playing for something rather than the players who have already getting paid 300. I think we want hunger. We want that mentality. We want that ability to intrinsically motivate. We want resilience. We want accountability, leadership. We want those traits in players. Those are just really hard traits to quantify. The problem, I can't go on FBref or Opta and look for like an expected resilience. What's the XR? Doesn't exist. that's down to scouting. That's down to the intangibles. And those are the hardest things to teach. It's really hard to teach resilience. It's really hard to teach that kind of selfless leadership mentality. It's for many players, you either have it or you don't. And it's just, it is what it is. You can train the positional stuff, the 50-50 stuff over time. And it's kind of like a fake it till you make it when it comes to the mentality, the toughness. For some players, the toughness comes first, and then the training. For other players, you got to train it into them. It's difficult. But yes, Box, yeah, Teresa is making some fair points. Lionheart says he was so right. And Danny with a reminder, in Ruben we trust. Yeah, in Ruben we trust. Ruben, come join the support group, my friend. You know, the first step is admitting there's a problem, which you have done. You know, hi, my name's Sean. I'm a Manchester United supporter, right? That's the way it is these days. What are you guys saying? 8 votes. Sounds like most of you totally agree that Amorim was right. So I'm going to end that poll. 100% agree Amorim was right. In Ruben we trust, though. We trust Ruben. I would like to see us move the ball a little quicker out of the back, but that's a whole nother thing. Teresa says, it's good to be back. I avoided going down Sheep Valley and comfortably settled into La La Land. Talk sport, a bunch of uninformed bunch. Teresa, whether it's Sirius XM, whether it's Talk Sport, whether it's ESPN, they're all just talk a bunch of nonsense. They're all abus. They all hate us. None of them, like you're saying, are informed. I can't tell you how many times I've had to call into Sirius XM to basically correct Tommy Smith and Rodney Marsh on just their completely just incorrect and just false comments and stuff. Like it's embarrassing that I have to do that personally. Danny's he's on one already. Danny is on one already. Spiniosa out. Box says, I mean the sporting players in regards. Oh, yeah, no, you're good, Box. No, right on. Lionheart says, Ruben is going to change football just like Pep has, and when the rest catches up with the Amorim way, we'll be miles ahead. It'll just take time. Amorim is different in a good way. Yeah, no, I think he is. I think that there's a lot about Amorim that is fresh, that is new, that I think a lot of fans and I think the players really should be getting behind. I think there's enough there for us to say, yeah, this is a guy that I want to follow. This is a guy that I'll run through brick walls for. This is a guy that I will give 110,000% for week in, week out, whether he wants me to play this position, that position, whether I've got to play 2 matches in a week, whether I'm not playing for 3 weeks because he's saving me. Sir Alex used to do that all the time. That's what I see in Amorim. These players need to fix up. I'm starting to get frustrated. And like Lionheart says, need to be patient. Yeah, we need to be patient. We're going to move on to some transfer news. Rajat, good to see you, my friend. Welcome back. Welcome back. Who doesn't love a good roller coaster? I'm going to tell you right now, that Southampton match, like I've said, I need to switch to a hard, healthy diet. That Southampton match absolutely did me. I was just, the catharsis of that match, the flood of emotions of that match, the highs and the lows, just the energy you pour into it, and the energy that builds and feeds and grows exponentially in the stadium was it's great, but at the same time it's so draining. But yes, it is a roller coaster. That is how we do things. Box says it's the double-edged sword of being Manchester United. Yep, it is. You know, it's kind of like that double-edged sword, you know, of balancing a bunch of, you know, going deep into a lot of competitions. It's a great thing, but at the same time, it does demand a lot, and it is painful, and you are going to suffer. Raja says, damn it, Benfica had one fucking job. I'll tell you who had a job is Lille. Lille were up, or they were at 1-1 at one point, and then they just totally dropped that one. So Danny says he's a year behind Garnacho, technically way better and better IQ. Yeah, and so I've seen some people, I don't want to name names, just a very prominent, you know, United YouTuber complaining that we will be selling Garnacho just to bring in another player of like the similar age. Let you guys figure that one out. I don't want to bash other YouTubers if I can help it, but everybody's got an opinion. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to cause drama. I'm not here to be dramatic. I'm not here to be reactionary. I'm here for your guys' opinions and your guys' reactions. Raja says we'll go all out to get Cunha. I'm telling you right, if there's one person to go all out for in that position right now, it's Xavi Simons. Hands down, the best in that position, for in my opinion, right? Aside from like Musiala, but that's the guy. If you're gonna use the term go all out, Javi Simmons is your guy, in my opinion. Runner, gets involved, goals, scores. Nick, welcome, my friend. Talent and flair can't be trained. Yeah, talent, that's just natural. Flair, that's a bit of a personality thing, right? Mentality, I don't think you can train mentality either. You can train someone how to use their left foot. You can train them how to shield a ball, how to properly, go in for a challenge. You can train them in all that stuff. It's just there's the intangibles are something you guys know. I go on and on about the intangibles all the time, the leadership, the resilience, all that stuff. But it's just the hardest thing to train, but the most important thing on the pitch. It can be a difference maker when you're up against it. Buck says, I'm sure if Southampton get relegated, Dibling's fee will be much lower. If Southampton, we did that video a few weeks back on relegation players that we should be looking at, and Dibling was on the list along with Matthias Fernandez at Southampton. If you guys ever watch any of those matches, check them out. Teresa says, Amorim has a press conference and they miss half of what he says. If fans are to comment, they shouldn't miss the important stuff. Yeah, this is why I always, Teresa, you can find it anywhere. I'll usually go to United's website, but there's a special link. It literally says every word from Ruben Amorim's press conference. If you want to make sure you're not missing out on context, if you're not to make sure you're not just hitting on the buzzy stuff, go read every single word, because there's a lot of stuff that gets talked about. Now, the press conferences aren't long, but there's much more that's said than what you're usually going to read about or hear about. So Raja says, nah, to be honest, Garnacho have way more potential. Potential maybe on the pitch, but it's up here. Does he want to play this system? Can he do it? He hasn't looked great the last couple matches. He really didn't do anything of note recently. Against Southampton, that was more of a tactical thing on the day. I didn't like that he was having to drop so deep, face his own goal to pick up the ball. We've been doing that way too much recently. Everyone's facing their own goal. Everyone's trying to receive the ball directly to feet, and then we're just pressed off it. There's no movement. It's really, really frustrating. Raja says, kind of doubt Ruben going to do well here. We'll see. It's early days, obviously. It's really going to be hard to see. But obviously we give him time, and sounds like Ineos are too. Bandomag, welcome back. Good to see you, my friend. I'm just kind of go through some of this to get through this before I jump into the transfer news. I got a lot of chat to go through. Raja asks, "What is sacrificing Nacho to sign Dorgu going to be worth it?" We don't know if it will. I think we're starting to see that maybe Garnacho doesn't fit the system, especially if he's going to be playing in the channels, playing a little more centrally, not going to have as much room maybe on the touchline to work with, not much space to work with, and maybe he just doesn't excel in that area. Maybe we would be better off as a squad right now and as a team to maybe focus on areas that we need strengthening and maybe focusing on players that fit the system. If we're going to give Amorim an ultimatum to come in November, if he's going to play that system, we have to back him, and that does mean sometimes you make a sacrifice to get who you want. He didn't. I don't think Garnacho fits the system, but unlike Rashford, I've said in that video a couple weeks back, I think Garnacho has the potential, because he is so young, to work on that aspect of his game. I don't know if he wants to, is the issue. Raja says, play well on big game. Yeah, we're not going to, no one's slating Garnacho that he's a bad player. Again, it's just, don't know if he fits the system. It is what it is. Not everyone will. It's a very, very specific system. It asks a lot of, not only in foundationally, it asks a lot of your players, especially your midfield. Positionally, it's gonna ask a lot of players like Garnacho to have to change and adapt to ways that they're not used to playing. And that's a big choice. Do I want to play a different role, or do I want to just go somewhere where I can play the way I want to play? That's a choice. Buck says, let's just see Man United coming and the price rises. Well, we know that's nothing new. That's been doing that for years, right? So Man United tax. I think that as far as Garnacho goes, we need to throw in a Puskas tax. Teresa says, the other thing that really upsets me is he plays a 3-4-3 system. Who in England decided to make it the 3-4-2-1? If the players stuck to the formation, there wouldn't be offsides. Not many. Yeah, we call it a 3-4-2-1 because of where the 10s kind of line up. They are 10s. They do have freedom to kind of get wide as well, but they are 10s, so they do operate in those channels. So we do call it a 3-4-2-1 because we're not really using wingers in the system. I would like to see maybe a 3-4-1-2 or maybe even like a 3-1-4-2 kind of a situation. Personally, I think that we do need more bodies up front. Another attacker on that level with the striker, I think, would do really well, because Højlund, Xerxes, they're very isolated. It's very easy to mark them out of the game right now because they're just on their own, and our tens are having to drop deep a lot, and it's really not helpful, helping our cause. Then it says, don't want to sell Garnacho, but right price I would sell. Yeah, I mean, and Fergie said it. Anytime you get an offer way over what the player's worth, you definitely need to think about taking it. You definitely need to give it a serious thought. I think Garnacho is a bit easier for me to say yes to a good offer because of the fact that I think that it's hard, because if this were the Glazers, I would probably say no, right off the bat still, because of just the way that they don't do things. I've yet to see what's going on with Ineos. Now, I'm reserving judgment till after the window. You guys know that. Buck says, mentality in a footballer is so key. Yeah, I've said it many times, and we did it in our New Year's resolutions video. It's the most important thing right now. Raja, not much point letting three wingers out when you all are going to do is get Dorgu. Don't mean he's bad, but okay, man. Yeah, we're gonna dive into that. So let me talk a little bit about Garnacho since we're talking about him. So because this whole Garnacho situation has taken some crazy twists and turns. Napoli reportedly made a bid that United rejected. DiMarzio claimed that Napoli would make a second bid, and that further meetings between United and Napoli could be taking place. I read somewhere it's like a 55 million plus loads of really easy add-ons that could drive it up to like 65. But then out of nowhere, Chelsea entered the chat, right? Garnacho's agent shared a photo of himself at Stamford Bridge the other night, in a move, quite frankly, very reminiscent of Mino Raiola, Pogba situation. I'm not pointing fingers at Pogba. I'm just saying it gives me that kind of vibes, right? Just what agent, like, dude, rein in your agent. What's your agent doing? That doesn't help anybody, because this only added fuel to the rumors of now Chelsea being interested in Garnacho. Wait, Chelsea interested in a young winger? No, right? Never. But the Napoli rumors haven't gone away. Italian outlet Il Mattino have claimed that Napoli are willing to lower their asking price for Osimhen even if United will play ball on a Garnacho deal. I don't know how legitimate that rumor is, but that was a very interesting little tidbit. I've seen reports that Garnacho and Napoli have already agreed on personal terms. I've even, you need a Venn diagram to keep up with this shit, I swear. The Mail is saying that we're asking for 75 million. DiMarzio says we're lowering our price to 65. Sky claims it's 55 million. It's ridiculous. I think his current contract, Garnacho, runs until 2028. So we do have leverage in this situation, in terms of his age, his value, the contract situation. I think we can play hardball a little bit. And again, throw in a Puskás tax while you're at it. Hey, he won the Puskás. That's another 10 million. But if we do sell Garnacho, we need to reinvest that. We need to go get someone like Chirke. We need to go exercise that buyback on Alvaro Fernandez immediately. Go get Nipan for good measure. Just get them all in here. Like, Nipan can play in the pivot if we need him to. Chirke can play in the 10 or even wide if we need him to. Obviously, we need a left back. It almost just does itself, these kind of deals, right? What are you guys saying? Raja says, won't Xavi Simons suit Ten Hag more? Xavi Simons has played in a variety of positions between PSV and Leipzig. He can play wide. He plays in like a 10, but he's got a really free roam. And he can also play as like a little bit of a second striker. He just gets around. Now, the difference between him and Bruno is where Bruno is more passer, creator, getting around. Xavi Simons is a straight-up runner. He is always linking up, always good with one-touch, movement off the ball, on the ball. He's very, very good. I've liked him for years. So he says, Amorim doesn't say many things. If he hasn't said it, it's not true. Even in Portugal, he didn't spend millions on players. He won't do it in Man U. Well, unfortunately, Sporting is very different than United. And I said this about Ten Hag. We need to aim a little higher sometimes with the caliber of player. Now, I'm not saying it just needs to go out and get Galacticos, but I'm saying we need to think a little higher. Sporting's budget compared to, on right now, obviously our budget, we're skinned. But if you think about it, it is a different club. Now, I do like scouting. I do like good recruitment. I think you can uncover some really good hidden gems. I think that the caliber of players that you might get at Sporting, I don't know if that caliber is enough to get it over the line in the Premier League, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying you can't go out and in a given transfer window, we can't do the same, like, for instance, 5-player business that like Sporting would do. I don't think that's going to work necessarily. We don't have the time to wait on a lot of young players to come through, if that makes sense. I don't disagree. I'm just saying it's so nuanced. It's really hard to have a right or wrong. Rich, welcome, my friend. How are you? I wanted to check your stream out, man. It's just still catching up on literally 24 hours of no sleep after all the flight delays and stuff yesterday. So I've been nodding on and off all day. I have a dog who's had some stomach issues. She's such a little daddy's girl that when I'm not here, her stomach just gets upset and she's all sick and stuff right now. So I've been trying to keep an eye on her today. It's nothing serious. She's just a baby. Don't feel bad. But it's just one of those things. Danny says, Mbuemo will be a smart signing. Excellent work rate. Attitude, very versatile. Can play multiple positions. Number 10, right wing back. Yeah. I think, isn't Mbuemo like 25, 26? I don't remember off the top of my head. And that's what we need. We need two players in those 10 roles that complement each other, right? I like a runner, like a Delap, like a Cunha, like an Mbuemo, but I'd also like, you need a creator, someone who's going to be able to pick out that runner, like your Nipans, like your Cherkis, like Bruno's doing. They need to complement each other, similar to how the pivot needs to complement each other. You know, you've got your physical player like an Ugarte, and you've got your ball carrier, your playmaker, kind of like a Manu can be. I don't think Manu's there yet, but he can be that perfect pivot personally. Rob, welcome, my friend Rob Taft. Good to see you. We're just going through some transfer news right now. We spent some time talking about Ruben Amorim's comments following the Brighton match and what everyone thought about those. Good to get everyone's thoughts on that. Rajat says wingback will be occupying that area, so it could technically hurt Garnacho. Well, again, Garnacho had a choice: learn how to play wingback or learn how to play in one of those 10 roles. And wingback probably would be a better option for him because he likes to stay wide, but I don't know if he's got the physicality. We've seen it many times where Garnacho will hold on to the ball too long. He'll lose the ball even in just outside or inside the opposition box, and he doesn't bust a gut. Oftentimes he'll sit there, he'll smack the ground, and then he'll get up and he'll jog back. You can't have that lack of work rate, that lack of personal accountability and responsibility and energy as a wingback in this system. The system does demand a lot of its players, but that's, again, it's going to filter out the players who can't hang physically. And it's not an Amorim thing when it comes to fitness. We've known several managers have complained about a lack of fitness in the squad, a lack of work rate, from Ollie to Ten Hag to Jose even. These players just aren't fit. They can't hang. It's unfortunate. And he says, I like Cunha, but his attitude stinks and would cost 65. Yeah. I'm not like buying Cunha, but just players in that profile are what we kind of need to complement a playmaker in that 10 role. We need 2 10s. So a player like that, like a Delap, someone who's just straight up runner, good with the ball, that can just get through there and just is constantly buzzing about. I like that. Mbuemo, yeah, I do like Mbuemo. There's a lot of good players out there, honestly, that we could be looking at. Box says, wish we'd do what Chelsea did that summer and offload players to the Saudi League. Mendy, Conte, Koulibaly. Yeah, we've got some players in the Saudi League. We just don't get good money for them, unfortunately. But aside from Garnacho, it does. Romano also maybe says there's a chance we could still see Rashford leave as well. Apparently, according to Romano, Marcus Rashford's camp had a meeting with FC Barcelona's director Deco today. I don't know why I said FC Barcelona. It's what Romano wrote, so that's what I read. Like Ron Burgundy, just read whatever's on the prompter, right? Barcelona are keen on the move, but it does depend on exits, according to Romano. Would you want to lose both, or maybe all three of Antony, Garnacho, and Rashford in one window, especially when that's a January window? Does that seem like a smart thing to do if we're waiting till the end of January to even bring in and start our business? Is it realistic now to get players this late in the January transfer window? How hard is it be? How much more are we going to have to be to get those deals over the line? Who would you keep if you had to keep one or two of those guys? That, to me, I don't know if it's wise to let all of these players go at the same time, personally. But I do hear your box. I don't know why we can't get good players or good money from the Saudi League. We just don't. Rob says, banned from the UK now, didn't bring any luck. Yeah, and it's funny. I was sitting with Justin at the Southampton match, and I'm like, I might not. I literally told him when we were struggling, I was like, I might not even want to go to the match on Sunday. You might have to go without me. I feel like I'm cursed. Thankfully, we turned that Southampton match around. Thankfully, but it shouldn't take a 10-minute bit of brilliance from Ahmad to do that. We were not the better team. We didn't deserve the 3 points against Southampton. Definitely didn't deserve anything from Brighton. But yeah, big up, Rich. Good to see you, my friend. Rajat says would keep Garnacho. No one, Pedro G. Who are we talking about, Rajat? Let me know. The Anthony tax. Whoever was in charge of that Anthony deal should be. I mean, they're probably already been sacked, but that deal in itself was a sackable offense, in my opinion. Teresa says his last press conference, he did say they trained to avoid that first goal, and they did do anything he said that was the fans would not see the lack of formation. Said the players don't listen, and I can't go on and on about these players because it's not that I'm like so frustrated. It's just that it's literally I'm just repeating myself almost every single time. We've had some good performances recently. Again, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, brilliant performances, but it's just too and few and far between, and it's not consistent. And it's way too easy for these players to just go hot and cold on a given day. I don't understand it. So it's not that I'm like, I'm getting mad. It's just that I don't like repeating myself, and I'm just tired of it. It's so frustrating to watch and have to just do another match reaction and just say the same stuff. Oh, set piece defending, lack of mentality, too slow, no like physicality. Like I could just literally just put on a new thumbnail and just play the same video, and you wouldn't even be able to tell it's a different match. Honestly, like that's the point we're at right now with some of these players. Raja says, got no money off Anthony loan. I mean, this is the tricky thing about loans. It's hard to, from a financial standpoint, again, we talked about this with Rashford. Do you want to sell now when the market value is so low, or is it worth the risk to do a 6-month loan in case the player does well, and then you can maybe boost that transfer value up and get a little bit more in the summer? It's hard. Most of us aren't going to necessarily want to look at it from that way because we're not Ineos, we're not owners, we don't really care that much. It's one of the way. It's one of the factors that that Ineos are going to be considering. So it's hard to just completely ignore it. So I do see the financial, potential risk reward there. But again, it's just about how quickly do you want to get someone like Rashford or Anthony out of the club. It's whether that's permanently at this point or not. It's difficult. Rob says, agree about the 3-1-4-2 Ugarte in front of the back three. I don't think, and again, Amorim hasn't just always stuck with the 3-4-2-1. There have been slight, even at Sporting, there have been slight little variations depending on opposition and whatnot. The problem is you probably don't want to change things up a little too much this early on in your tenure. He's been here 2 months. You probably want to wait a little bit in order to start adding a couple tweaks. He's only had a couple of training sessions, really. He didn't really train at all in December. He had that one training session when he first got here, and he's been training a little more. And you can tell a lot of tracking back against like Liverpool and Arsenal, some better positional and stuff. It's just the players, man. They get hit once and then they just give up. Nick says Hoyland, Iceland, and Greenland are isolated. That's a good one. I like that one, Nick. Danny says 65-75 are pissed off. Danny is going hard in the paint. Yeah, Nick's got comment of the night. I'm going to put it back up there right now while I scroll down. Hoyland is frustrating me. I said it after the Southampton match. I don't like the way we're playing because I don't think it suits Hoyland. Back to the goal, facing the play, just trying to hold up the ball, receive. Because a lot of us are playing like that. No one's making any runs. Hoyland needs to learn to curve his runs, to play into the channel instead of just holding it up. It's really frustrating because he's just not that player. He's never been that player. I get he's a bigger guy, but just because he's bigger doesn't mean that's the way to play him. I wouldn't want to play someone like Benzema that way. Benzema's a big guy, but Benzema is so good with the dribble. He's much same with Prime Ibrahimovic. They're just very good in that regard. You're not getting the best out of them. I hope that Hoyland's not being typecast. Danny says Chelsea want him 80 or suck egg. Yeah. I can't see him going to Chelsea. If we let Sancho and Garnacho go to Chelsea, that's just messed up. Box says if we sell, it must be to Napoli, definitely not Chelsea. Yeah, I think Napoli is probably maybe the best thing for him, honestly. Raja says we have sold players. Hopefully we'll be okay. We sold who we sell already. We sell somebody. You guys let me know. We sold players in the summer, so that helped because we sold Mason Greenwood. Obviously got off the books. Kovar made that move permanent. That helped a little bit. We have a lot of these youngsters that went out, and there are sell-ons and bonuses that we're going to get. Donnie will get a little bit of money back. We're not going to make any money, but I think if it's outside of the 3-year window, it doesn't count anymore. So, and then obviously McTominay went as well. Then he says 100% not getting Naipan is a sin. Try to get Douglas Luiz on a loan with an option. I like Douglas Luiz a lot. I worry about some of his injuries now. And again, I've said this to this Liverpool fan at the airport last night, like, because he was talking about Alphonso Davies. And I'm like, on paper, I'm like, yeah, great. But at the same time, I can't ignore, at United, I can't ignore the injury history because we're so bad with injury-prone players. It's embarrassing. Lionheart says 60 mil plus Madueke would suit me. Yeah, I like Madueke. Chelsea have a lot of young wingers. Obviously, Mudryk isn't playing, but I like Madueke a lot. Bexy, welcome back. How are you? I think Garnacho will be sold in a couple days. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But we're going to move on now from Garnacho to another potential incoming player. We're going to talk a little bit less about the outgoings, more about the incomings. United might sign someone. You never know. I mean, don't hold your breath, but you never know. In this case, it's Patrick Dorgu. We've been linked to him for a while, I think since last season. I did a little scout report on him when we first started being linked with him. Obviously, the numbers in these scout reports are moot at this point, but the profile and the characteristics are still there. Latest reports from outlet Pianeta Lecce and journalist Alfredo Pedulla claim that Lecce's president was in Manchester today for a meeting where negotiations were taking place. Romano then updated us this afternoon saying we had a direct meeting with Lecce to discuss Dorgu. No agreement yet. Lecce apparently want 40 million euro package. United are going to start the bidding at like 30 million euro package. Napoli supposedly is still interested in Dorgu as well, so maybe that could be a Garnacho or Dorgu situation because they both play similar. Thing about Dorgu is he's also versatile. He can play right wing back, he can play left back, he can play left wing back. He's played kind of as on the right wing as well. I like him. I just don't think he's worth what they want for him is the problem. And then we got a comment from Lecce's president, Stici Damiani. He was quoted saying, "We met with Man United and we told them that our plan is to keep our key players, including Patrick Dorgu. Says, we're delighted to have United here to make a proposal, but our target to stay in Serie A is crucial." So basically, they don't want to lose players because they're trying to make sure that they're going to stay up, basically. I mean, I don't get that. You met with United just to say you're not selling. Doesn't make sense. I mean, why are you meeting at all if you have no plans on selling? And I don't get that. I think they're open to the sale. I think they're just obviously sticking to their guns a little bit. They want to get what they want to get for him. Again, I think their asking price is too high, especially considering, they sold, Morten Hjulman, the defensive midfielder that everybody's up in arms. I love Morten Hjulman, but he came from Lecce to Sporting, and they sold him for, I think, 25 million. So 15 million less than what they're asking for Dorgu. I think Hjulman overall is the better player. I don't think he's worth it. I'd pay 25, 30 total for Dorgu right now, considering where he's playing, the fact that he's not, one of these big well-known players. He could be worth that with good. It's just a lot. His numbers are good. His carries and whatnot, they're very good, but it's just not worth that. So I don't know why we haven't discussed activating the buyback clause on Alvaro Fernandez. I mean, it's a buyback clause. The player is obligated to return if we activate it. So I don't get that. Maybe we don't want an unhappy player if he doesn't really want to come back. I have no idea. He had a decent game, as Danny says earlier, against Barcelona. I thought he looked way ahead of his youth in terms of positioning, knowing when to get stuck in, knowing when to leave, knowing when to drop back. I thought that discernment, that positional awareness, that footballing IQ, that reading of the game, I think way ahead of where he should be at that age. Kind of like watching Toby Collier. Toby Collier, see a lot of that in Collier as well. But he did have a decent game despite their collapse. And obviously he's still way better than anybody we have in that left back position overall. So I don't know why. I mean, it's almost less than half of what Lecce want for Dorgu. To me, it just makes total sense. But let me get caught up here and see what you guys have to say. Roger says, not sure why I went back to RB Leipzig. That is very idiotic. You're talking about Xavi? Yeah. I mean, he's going to go wherever he's going to get the most minutes, obviously. Raja says, don't think Real keep Galacticos. Danny, big up, Danny. Hit that like button. It does help the channel grow. You don't have to, but it does help the channel grow. It does help us get closer to 3K. You guys were absolute legends for getting us to 2K so quickly. We are on the road to 3K. So very happy to see the channel growing, to see the community growing. Really, it's more about seeing the community grow. Getting to get involved with all of you guys is great. I wouldn't care if we had 2K, 3K, 200K. If I just get to sit and chat with you guys on a daily basis, that's really what I want. Getting more people involved in the community is great. Lionheart says, like button power slap. Yeah, Canton to kick that like button for me. Ryder says, do Liverpool have the worst cafeteria food in England? I wouldn't know. I've not had any food at Old Trafford. I don't. The only money I've spent at Old Trafford has been on the stadium tours. So I don't know. But that mega store is packed. If you ever go to Old Trafford, the mega store is absolutely packed. They try to get you to at the end of the stadium tour. The last stop of the stadium tour is conveniently the mega store. So they try to get you with like so you go to the press room before you go to the mega store, and you can get your photo taken at the desk where Ruben Amorim does his press conferences. But then you got to go pay like £15 to get that copy of the photo. And I'm like, no, bro, I'm good. Bexy says Cunha would be a player that may hit the ground running. I mean, Cunha, to me, I don't like the attitude situation, but Bexy says United need 3 players in this window. We need like 300 players, honestly. I like Cunha, Bexy. I want a player in that mold, that profile, that runner, that physicality alongside a playmaker like Bruno is what I like. Roger says, when Bayern Munich want an individual, very difficult to reject them. Yeah, because Bayern Munich are on another level. Same with Madrid. Same with Liverpool right now. It's just we used to be there, and I think we'll get back there again. And honestly, we still do have pull. I mean, Ruben Amorim left the Champions League with Sporting mid-season to come here. I mean, we get players when we don't have Champions League. It does happen. Yes, a lot of it does have to do with how much money we're offering, but players still do want to come to United. It is the dream for a lot of players to come to United. We do have players who are United fans, despite the players being so young, too young almost to remember the good old days. But I think Mbeumo could be there's a lot of good players out there. It's going to be difficult to get them. We're waiting I don't want to jump the gun with that. I got to hold my tongue because we are waiting so long to do business in January, and it's really frustrating. But that's all I'm going to say on that right now. Lionheart says Liverpool has the worst of anything in England. This is true. You are speeding facts. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Roger says, damn Liverpool Football Club work to spit on customers' food just like Jamie Carragher used to. Yeah, only if they're little kids eating them, apparently. Hey-yo. Danny says, he might not be good enough in possession either. Who we talking about? Probably way behind on super chats, or on chats. Bexy says, Amorim smashed up the changing room. The players need a wake-up call. This is Man United. Yeah, I have no problem with him smashing up the changing room. I just don't think Ineos are going to spend the money to replace the TV that he broke, but it is what it is. Raja, final time, my preference is to keep Nacho. So Raja wants to keep Garnacho. It's a difficult one. There's 3 wingers that could potentially be leaving, 3 of whom don't really fit the system. The problem is those are also 3 players that are regularly in the matchday squad. So we have to replace them. We just can't. Had this been a couple months ago, I would have said maybe bring in Ennis and let him get in the matchday squad. But I think he went on loan, right? So that's not happening. It's just we're waiting too long, and we're going to be even more threadbare as a squad if we don't do some business here. Justin, welcome. Lack of resilience and fitness I witnessed was it was a shit show watching that. Just nobody wanting to bust a gut. Nobody, like when Onana dropped that ball that spilled that save for Brighton's third, and he did you guys remember we talked about it, he did the exact same thing in the Champions League last year. Makes a mistake and he just lies there, and you can tell it's just in his head the rest of the match. That was an atrocious mistake. Obviously, it's an error leading to goal. But it's just it spread throughout the squad. We didn't deserve anything, but before that happened, there was a chance we maybe could at least salvage a draw, a small chance. But that's just to gift the third goal in that way. That I think the manner in which we gifted that goal was just what made it that much worse. Bexy says, hopefully Casemiro go. Yeah, I forgot about Casemiro. I forgot about Casemiro altogether. I think Amorim forgot about him in there. He's going through the dressing room. Like, who are you? Oh yeah, I remember you. I remember you. Yeah, we played you once, and that was a shit show. You and Eriksson just stank up the gaff. Rich, I think a lot of fans want to keep Garnacho. I think a lot of fans want to keep him because he's young. Obviously, he won the Puskas. Obviously, last year he had a really good year. I think that this new manager was gonna. It's not that the players are bad; it's that they don't fit the system necessarily, and maybe Garnacho doesn't want to. We know that Garnacho had some disciplinary issues recently with social media and whatnot, so maybe it's a similar situation to Rashford. You know, is your focus here? Are you getting a good head on your shoulders? I couldn't tell you. It's going to be interesting to see if he goes to Napoli. Nick says Casemiro needs to leave. I have a lot of chats to catch up on. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them. I'm going to try though. So we're also still waiting to hear. We're talking a little bit about Anthony on the loan to Real Betis. You know, it looked a dead cert a few days ago that was all set to go. We got like a here we go pretty much from Romano and everything, but it's been pretty quiet since. He came on the other day, played a little bit, so I don't know what's going on. Again, Rashford, Anthony, Garnacho, all potentially leaving. Not great. Even if we did bring in Dorgu, it still is not enough. I feel like I read a rumor like last week that we were linked with Richard Rios again at Palmeiras. Am I just making that up? Did I just imagine that in some sort of 24-hour no sleep hallucination? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I just imagined I saw Richard Rios at the airport or something. I don't know. And anyone on Hayden Hackney watch, he scored again today as Middlesbrough beat West Brom 2-0. Just saying, Hayden Hackney is probably one I would definitely go all out for in the summer. He's a perfect physical, just resilient mentality monster in midfield. He's a playmaker. He gets around the pitch. He cleans up. He protects his back line as well. Hayden Hackney is that deal. Rob says Rashford needs to be sold, otherwise he hangs around like a bad smell like Sancho. Yeah, and that's the hard part. Now we're kind of in this situation again. Rashford didn't help by doing the interview. You don't wrap. Amorim, he made the decision to drop him from the squad. He has to stick with it, right? So, but now we're in a situation. Garnacho could be leaving. Anthony could be leaving. Rashford is not in the squad. Ahmad is pretty much it in terms of those attackers go, and Hoyland and Xerxes and whatnot. We're not helping ourselves, but it's just like a horrible situation that we're in right now. So, Raja says no point in letting youth go. I mean, if they're not good enough, right, and they don't fit. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I am proud of the record. I think that, again, I think Garnacho, quite frankly, could be seen as another McTominay situation. Sorry, Justin, but it's all profit, and we need money, and that's just is what it is. I think that I, like everyone, would probably sell Rashford before Garnacho. I'd probably give Garnacho at least till the summer, but it's just can only comment on what the situation is right now. It isn't really about my preference at this point. It's just about this is what's going on, and this is what we got to deal with. Rashford is a clown, says Danny. Flirting with Barcelona. He should take the Ibra deal he offered him. Rashford, I think, hesitated. So I think Ibra told him to piss off now or never. Or Milan getting Kyle Walker, because I think they've got like an English limit right to players as well. Just sounds like Ibra. Ibra probably karate kicked him as well, right? Ibra has like a black belt. That's why he's so good at the kinds of goals he scores, because he's just good at kicking things, apparently. Raja says, okay, maybe we chill on our comment is getting kind of too much. No, it's all good, bro. Rob says, Anthony will fail the medical at Real Betis. They will discover his right leg is made of good. We say that, Rob, but then, like, some of the most important goals that Anthony has scored for us have been from his right foot. The goal against Barcelona to knock them out of the Europa League was off his right foot. The goal in the FA Cup quarterfinal against Liverpool was off his right foot. He's put in a couple of decent balls here and there off the right foot as well. So I just wish he would do it more often, but obviously he's not good enough. It is what it is. Rob says, Sir Jim has replaced the changing room TV with the Alba TV from the canteen. Oh, man. Roger says, how can Rashford play high-press football that is going to require way more intelligence and sharp IQ? It's not road running FC. I don't think it's going to be interesting to see where Rashford goes. I think it's going to say a lot about similar to Ronaldo when he left, when we split that ripped up that contract, and I said at the time, where he goes is going to tell us a lot about where his priorities lie. So we'll see. Obviously, it seems like Rashford just doesn't want to go through another manager, doesn't want to have to change the way he plays, doesn't want to blank. I don't know what the blank is, but clearly there's something that is required of Rashford that he's just not in the mood to do. And it is what it is. It's just, Rob says Rashford looks slower these days. Light knife's taking its toll. Problem too is, similar to Rooney, when you start playing at this level as a teenager, Rooney was very, very young. Rashford was very, very young. And when your whole game is pace, basically, like Rashford's, for instance. This is why Gareth Bale started to burn out a little bit. Your whole game is pace. You're putting a lot more pressure, a lot more minutes, a lot more miles on your legs than like a midfielder or a defender is going to do. And then when you start to accrue a little bit of injury, especially the back, everything's connected to your back. When Rashford's got back issues, it's going to impact other areas of his game as well. It's hard to recover from that, especially when you don't give it any time to rest. And so I hear you on that regard. He does look slow. I don't know, maybe it is a nightlife. I don't know. And then you got to remember there's also the emotional stuff. These players are human beings. There's a lot of stuff going on, whether it's relationships, family, other stuff. It is what it is. I don't care as much about the children stuff, the government stuff, with the political stuff. I don't care about that kind of stuff, or even going to a basketball game, as long as it doesn't impact your performance on the pitch. But then there's that extra layer. These players are humans. They do have struggles. If you listen to Jesse Lingard, Dele Alli, a lot of these guys talk about stuff that they've gone through. I think we overlook that sometimes. It is hard. Mason Greenwood lost one of his best friends to suicide mid-season a couple of years ago. I think that went completely under the radar. That's hard. That is incredibly hard to work through as a young man, as a human being. And so I think we want to do that. Raja, it's true, not going to benefit. Raja says, have damn Cadbury egg, Todd B. Rich says, I heard a rumor Luke Shaw has arisen from the dead because there's an international break coming up. Yeah, I did hear a rumor that as early as tomorrow we could get an update on Luke Shaw's fitness. So, of course, maybe Ruben Amorim will have some stuff to say about that, because we will be doing the preview tomorrow for the Rangers match. So don't forget to come back for that one. I want to make sure I try to get through some of these super chat or chats, because there are a lot, and you guys are getting all sorts of involved. I'm here for it. Of course, Box's only official deals have been used. Ennis got a loan to Doncaster. That's where he went. Hugel, Carlisle, Williams, loan to Cheltenham. Yeah. And I don't have a problem with that. Ennis was getting to that point where he's almost too good for the academy, but not quite good enough for the league. So we want to see how he does. Rob Taft says Alphonso will play more than Luke Shaw if he's not injured. Alphonso Davies doesn't have a super injury record as well, so you never know. I'm going to be very hesitant from now on with injury-prone players. We've just been burned too much by Shaw, by Martial, by Phil Jones, by Mason Mount. I'm done with injury-prone players. I can't deal with it anymore. This is why I don't want Nuno Mendes. The guy was injured for an entire season in 22-23 with a hamstring. Literally the same nature of injuries that Mason Mount's deal with. It doesn't get better either when the hamstring. Raja, 50 million down the drain, Tony Martial debut goal scorer. Yeah, we love Martial for that debut goal against Liverpool. We love that. Didn't fact check when the next break is. Isn't it? I know we've got, is it March or something? I can't remember. Rob says, Lecce trying to bump the price up. Of course it is. Whenever United enter the chat, the price jumps up a little bit. I don't get why you'd have a meeting if your intention was to not sell. So I think, obviously, they're playing the game. They're making it public. They don't want to be. You got to save face. I mean, Sir Alex did it with Ronaldo. You couldn't sell Ronaldo that first season that Florentino came out and made his comments public. He had to wait because it wouldn't look good for us. It's the same thing. I get it. Get it. Rich, it's good to see you back streaming. Yeah, I did a couple of the streams during the trip. It was just so busy. And then I didn't feel great after the Brighton match, so I didn't just have it in me that night. But we did do one that Monday yesterday before I left. But yeah, it is good to be back. Good to be back home, back with the family. I'm not gonna lie, the weather's garbage where I'm at right now. We went from 40 degrees in Manchester to 4 degrees here in Michigan. It is freezing cold here. They canceled school today and tomorrow for kids because it's too cold. I can't take my dogs out for more than a minute because it's too cold for them to be out there. Rich says 25 plus 5 add-ons is fair, but we're Man United. We'll get fleeced. We do get fleeced. And under the old regime, we'd probably pay it. But but the problem is, do you want to just stick to your guns and not get anybody, or do you want to get somebody over the line that you need? It's difficult. It's really difficult. Danny says buyback clause for Alvaro, wait for Kirk Cases in the summer. Is that the decision, or are you just going to do both? We need somebody now. I don't know if Dallo can do it anymore. I'm tired of seeing Dallo kind of struggle week in, week out, whether it's on the ball or off the ball. Dallo's just not good at 1v1s, no matter what. His final ball is not good either. His positional awareness is not good. We can do better. Honestly, send Dallo to Benfica and just let him have him and just activate. We'll just we don't even have to. We can literally activate the buyback clause and he's ours. Rob says 100%. You guys do all great content. Nice to see channels friendly. Yeah, we try. I mean, you guys know my whole thing is just making sure you guys get your opinion heard and getting conversations going. What does this thing do? Sorry, saw something pop on my screen. Lionheart says coming back to United could slow down his progress. Alvaro, it could, but again, these are the decisions that I don't envy. Do it now, potentially risk it, or wait and potentially continue to suffer. These are difficult decisions, and you can't really undo them sometimes. They could have long-term impacts, whether it's this substitution at this time or buying this player, not that player. No, you're never going to know how it's going to work out, but you have to take the information you have and just make a decision and just stick by it. It's really difficult. I don't envy anybody in that industry. Fox says, I could see Marseille selling Greenwood, the current top scorer in League One, for big money. Is it worthwhile as activating the buyback clause, selling him for a much higher profit? Are we talking about Alvaro? Or are we talking about, we don't have a buyback on Greenwood? Is that what you're saying? Raja says, Nuno, Aït-Nouri, Milos, best wing backs available. I mean, Kirkes would be a dream. I like Kirkes a lot. He has developed very, very well since last season. I think he's doing a very good job. Rob Taft says, anyone have news on Nene Dorgu? I'm scouting him on FC25. I haven't seen anything since earlier this week when we were first linked with him. Again, I want to say when I did that show and I shared about that he was entering the final year of his contract, so maybe there was a bit. But again, that does have Christopher Vavell's fingerprints all over it, part of the Red Bull group, a young player. We've already signed one Malian midfielder, so it made sense. So again, kind of like the Anthony Real Betis, it's just gone quiet. So it's weird, just the rumors that kind of come and go, you don't really hear much about it anymore. But it's the Napoli Garnacho stuff, the Dorgu stuff that don't seem to be dying, that obviously, there's more legitimacy in. Rob says, I like last season's third kit. Might buy that when cheap. The white one? Is the white one the third kit from last season? I can't remember. Rich says, it's easy to support United for everybody. Similar ethos to mine. Trying to share opinions, views, build community. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, it's all about the community. I love the fact that the community is growing. I love the fact that the channel is growing, but I care more about the community growing. But yeah, go check out Rich's channel if you get a chance. Always good content, always good. I'm gonna try to be doing some more stuff soon. It's been a busy week. I've got a PFA course on Thursday. I've got stuff to do tomorrow. Obviously, we want to do the preview tomorrow. I've got another PFA course next week and another one in 2 weeks. But that 2-week one is the 8-hour course, and that's a marathon in itself. So I got to catch up on sleep before I do that. Plus, we have a group project for that PFA class that I have to be working on right now as well. So burning both ends of that candle, guys. Yeah, Cunha might be pricey. Yeah, he will be pricey. He definitely would. Raja says City fans are Man United fans you don't want to admit. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if City got in trouble. It'd be interesting to see how many new United fans we would suddenly get, right? Rob Taft says, can you do a poll on Osimhen, yes or no, in January? Now, yeah, we talked about that, how he was linked. I'll do you a poll. I will do a poll. Osimhen in January, ? I think, in my opinion, if I was going to get a striker and if we were going to go for an experienced striker, I would probably wait till the summer and try to get Gyökeres personally, but that's just me. But I'll let you guys tell me what you think. I'm going to catch up with some of these chats here. See what you guys are saying. Danny says, Onana is a joke. He truly killed us with his recruitment. Yeah, I'm not happy. Onana is really frustrating. Onana is just, it was pretty clear to see early on in Onana that the mentality wasn't there, and there's no commanding of his box. He can't get over when he makes a mistake. He carries it with him the rest of the game. You can tell it impacts him. Like, I can't have that in a keeper. I can't have that not command. You guys know one of the things I covet most in keepers is commanding your area. Can't be afraid to claim crosses. Honestly, I was more upset about that second goal that went in against Brighton, because from where I was sitting, I had a perfect angle of just how close that whipped in ball from Adingra was, and it was literally Onana could have just reached out and grabbed it, but he just turned and let someone else take care of it, and it just, that kind of stuff bugs me. It just gets on my nerves. Roger said he did that versus Tottenham when he was goalkeeper at Ajax. Yeah, he was better at Ajax in my opinion, but obviously at Inter he was very good. I just don't know where that Inter keeper was. Personally, he was like the best keeper in the Champions League when Inter got to the final. Box says I was all for the Onana signing, providing he was an improvement on De Gea. Sadly, he wasn't. I just didn't. I would have rather have kept Kovar than if we were going to let De Gea go. Personally, Kovar is a very good keeper, quite arguably better than Onana in my opinion, but that's not hard to do right now, given Onana's form. But Rich says, I was up for getting a goalkeeper that was good at distributing, but I didn't realize I'd have to compromise on the basics like shot. Yeah, shot stopping is important. At the end of the day, you can be great on the ball. You can be good with the ball at your feet. You can put the ball on the sixpence from 40 yards away. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to stop a shot eventually, and that's where you're going to make or break. And Onana spills, even when he does make saves, a lot of his saves are spilled right back into the front of goal, like we saw against the other day against Brighton. Like, he does that all the time. He'll get to it and he'll palm it, and it'll palm it right back in the middle, or he just spills it. And it's just, dude, like, you have one job as a keeper, one job. You're the only guy you can use your hands. Like, how are you that bad? Rob says it's the 21st of Jan, and I'm like, bloody sign someone. We'll do a video after the January window. I'm holding off a lot of my Ineos comments because I said ahead of time, like I said, what they do this window is going to tell me a lot. But yeah, I'm holding off. But I hear you. Raj says definitely each signing, especially about recruitment, it has its risks trade-off. It does. You never know. So Danny's on one, and I'm here for it. He's just write him off. You guys are pretty split right now on the Osherman thing. 57% of you say yes. 43% say no. I'll leave that up for a little bit and let me know. I'm going to try to speed through a couple of these chats because I do need to get going here shortly. I'm getting a little hungry. I'm still trying to catch up on my different time changes. Boxes, I thought Ineos would be more proactive regarding the potential gems like Naipan or the possible cheap transfers like a Churke. If you just name two players, that would be a dream right now. That would instantly come in, improve us. Churke will be an instant starter next to Bruno. Nipan could play in the 6 or in a 10 because he is an 8, but he could play that Kavi Menu role personally. Box says they're full of, we know that Danny calls him Spinios, and that's, hey, I gotta wait and see what happens. Rob says embarrassing that Rashford has been looking for a club, but Garnacho and Anthony find clubs first. Well, and that says a lot. It's embarrassing that Ronaldo, basically had to do an interview because we wanted to sell him the summer before. He wanted to go the summer before, but nobody wanted to pay for him. So he had to force our hand in order for someone to get him just on a free. And even then, the only one that got him was the Saudi league. So it is what it is. Rob says, agree, United versus everybody, but that means he needs to adapt like Giggs did. Thought he is half the player Ryan was. Yeah. No, I agree. It's what we said many, many times. I'm right there with you, preaching to the choir. Danny says Shaw needs to piss off. Joe Blackman, United versus everybody. Welcome to the channel, by the way. I wonder where you heard that. We've been hearing it for years, right? It's the fortress. It's us against the world, no matter what. I think Luke could do left center back, but no way his body can cope. Yeah, I think, Rob, honestly, in this system, the only position Luke Shaw can play is left center back, but Shaw is a non-entity at United anymore, in my opinion. He's never fit. He's literally been fit 50% of the time he's been here. Shaw doesn't even register for me anymore. Even if it would be more news if Shaw stayed fit for more than a couple weeks at this point. Like Rich is saying, can Shaw stay fit long enough to get through medical? I don't even know if he could stay fit to get out of bed in the morning, let alone get to the Carrington. Rob says, "What is the lowest everyone would take for Garnacho if there was a good sell-on clause in place?" 65 to 75 probably is honestly, in my opinion, a good price to ask for Garnacho. I think that he won the Puskás. He had a very good season last year. He's nothing but potential. Again, it just doesn't suit the system. That's just the way it is. I wish that he did, and it was just a case of we can maybe get a lot. It's not going to work. I don't think, unfortunately. I would keep Garnacho for until the summer at least before selling him before Rashford, but it's just the situation is what it is. Unfortunately, Box says 60 million. Rich says has to be around 60 million. So you guys starting to say maybe around that 60 million. Box says this was Brighton, they'd probably put 100 million price tag. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. If this was Brighton, or Benfica, if Garnacho was at Benfica, it's 100 million. Boom, that's it, flat rate. That's the Benfica. That's the only price Benfica. It's like they ran out of every other price tag other than the 100 million at Benfica. Rich says, I thought we put sell-ons and buybacks on the recent players. We put a lot of those in especially the youngsters like the Iqbals and the Kembwalas and whatnot. A lot of those players have sell-ons in there as well, and very, very easy achievable. Like even Sancho, I think we already made a little bit of money, not made overall in transfer fee, but we got a little bit more from Chelsea. And no, it was Dortmund. We got a little something from Sancho for how deep they went in the Champions League. So we are making a little bit here and there. It's just not ever going to pay for itself, unfortunately. It's not going to be enough. Rob says, I'm not sold on Cunha. You look great at Old Trafford, but so did the Southampton guys. Yeah, it's not hard to come to Old Trafford and look good. All you got to do is run and give half a shit. So Onana looks spaced out at times. Was it Inter that sold him after a season? I think he was there for a couple seasons. Onana he was banned at Ajax. I think he got caught, like he was found guilty of like doping or something. He was a doping ban, so that's why he wasn't at Ajax anymore. No, I don't remember the exact details of it. I just remember that was what happened. That's why he was not at Ajax anymore. Rob says his foot play is frustrating. Takes forever to pass it out. Yeah, that's my biggest frustration with the way we build. I don't have a problem necessarily with building out from the back in general, but we just do it too slowly. And in this league with the teams that press so high and the teams like Liverpool or Newcastle or Spurs who will play with a front four off the ball, it's just if you're not moving the ball quickly, it's not going to work. We play this horseshoe passing pattern from wing back through the defense to the other wing back, and that's all we do. I don't know what the players are waiting for. I don't know what they're doing. No one's making any runs. I don't have patience for it anymore. Mr. Labman, welcome to the channel. Osimhen can hide behind his mask during a home game, so we don't have any problems to score. That's funny. Rob says, for me, Osimhen is an experienced striker with attitude. He won't put up with poor service. We need that type of striker. Yeah, I mean, Osimhen's good. I think I would take Gyökeres first just because he's played with Amorim. He's familiar with the system. That's, to me, I think it would be a little bit more seamless personally. I think Osimhen, to me, seems more like a poacher in many regards. Whenever I've seen him play, he's always been doing his work in the box, getting on the end of stuff. I don't know if we have that kind of service for him. I mean, we can barely get the ball to Højlund. I don't know what we're going to be doing yet. So everybody's saying, so 60-40 split, Osimhen in January. I'm going to end it there. Ton of stuff to get to, but I'm going to have to wrap it up, guys. I love that you guys are getting involved. I wish I can get to. Oh, we're actually done. Hold on a second. No, I caught up. Yes, I caught up. Big up myself for catching up. Rob says, if Anthony goes, we'll have to keep Garnacho to fill the void left by the Brazilian. I don't think we can, just like the center backs, the Maguire, Evans, Lindelof, you got your Rashford, your Garnacho, Anthony. I don't think we can let all three go at once. Keep Maguire, probably keep Garnacho out of Rashford and Anthony, right? And then you assess it again in the summer and maybe see what you need to do. But we can't. We don't just replace those players if we let them go like in January or whatever. We need to use that, look at the squad and look at other positions we need to strengthen. So while we may be letting a couple wingers go, we don't need to necessarily replace them with other wingers. We need a left back. We need a central midfielder. We need a striker. We need a 10. We need a lot. So it doesn't have to be like for like necessarily. Mr. Labman says, Nacho is gone. Anthony will come back. Amorim can still use him later. With Anthony, it might be a shop window opportunity like we did with Lingard at West Ham. The problem is we just didn't take any money for Lingard when we should have. That was a dumb decision. Rich says, great stream. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I am still exhausted, man. Got in late last night after so many delays, so I'm feeling it. But I just for sure wanted to come back because I missed you guys. Wanted to come by and talk and catch up, and obviously get your thoughts. As Rich says, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you are new, because I am going to wrap it up there. Um, Please come back tomorrow. We're going to preview the Rangers match. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, that is on Thursday. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Please share. Hit the notification bell as well. It was really good to be back. Really good to catch up with everybody. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'm proud of myself for getting through all these super chats because you guys are legends. I appreciate that. If I missed any, I apologize. I just, some of it seemed like you guys were kind of talking to each other, so I didn't want to jump in the middle of it. But thank you for all the new faces, for everyone stopping by. Rob says, great stream, enjoy the jet lag. I got a little bit of it last night. I'm still not quite catching up. But until next time, you guys, thank you for stopping by. I will see you again. If you are in a place that's hit by these storms, stay warm, stay safe. Bring your dogs inside, please. My wife will appreciate me throwing that out there. And I will see you guys on the next one. Later.